Howdy, folks. We're here to do a review that might be a little unusual for me. Uh, it's a book. And we're talking a book. I mean, not sequential art, no little pictures. It's a book. Yeah, that's right. Howie read a real book. I read books, but I do prefer sequential art. It's just my preference of art form, of storytelling. I prefer it over movies, as a matter of fact. Although movies are good, movies are just sequential art sped up. And sequential art is words and pictures put together. Um, and again, someday I will do a review of a book called Understanding Sequential Art. Uh, I don't even have to do a review. My review is read it. That's it. Anyways, I picked up Act of Silence by Seth Quillet. I hope I got that name right. Seth Quillet. It looks right. He is I got it because he's a fellow YouTuber. And I wanted to support him. And I also wanted to check out his writing because I read. I love reading, as has been said many times. And I love reading new things I've never tried before, like I did with that whole new comic company. Oh, I can't remember the name off. It doesn't matter. New comics, unknown publishers, unknown. I'll try them. I love trying stuff. Now, Seth Quillet is a fellow YouTuber. I don't know if I can say who he is. He does have, if you watch him, there are links to his books on Amazon. They're published through Amazon. But he never says his name, so I don't want to say his name. So he's a YouTuber. He talks about George Send at times. He talks about a guy called Dark Side Phil, who is another George Senda-esque lolcow who's just out there. I've learned a lot about that guy through Seth, and he's interested. Good stuff. I mean, if he comes in and says who he is and wants to connect his author name to his YouTube name on YouTube like this, that would be cool. Otherwise, I don't think he really wants to connect it heavily. He doesn't make it a secret, but he also doesn't connect it himself. So you might be able to figure out who he is. Like I said, he does a lot of DSP videos, George Senda videos, and a lot of J-pop videos, which are pretty cool. Or this is not J-pop, but J-metal, J-pop. A lot of Japanese bands. And other stuff that, like gaming stuff, I don't really watch the gaming stuff. And I'm sorry, Seth, it's just not my thing. I mean, I'm sure you're great at it, but I don't watch it. As an author, the guy's good. Now, first, let's start with the negative. There's one, and I'm going to say it's a big negative to this, is the typos. Now, I know that this is, well, first of all, why I bought this book. It's a book. If you look on his Amazon site, at the time, there were only 2 books. I guess there's 4 or 5 now that are books, physical books. I don't do Kindle. I don't think there's anything wrong with Kindle. It's not, I mean, I don't own a Kindle, but I also don't want to own a Kindle. I'm just not comfortable reading. I don't like looking into the light to read. I don't really know how to stop and mark a page. I mean, I've never, I'll read a website or something, but it's not my way of, I'm an old guy that is set in my ways. I like books. I probably have too many books, but I'll get rid of books. I have no problem selling books or giving away books either, so. I'm not a hoarder with thousands of paranormal books on my shelves behind me. I mean, after I read it, it can go. I don't care. unless it's been autographed or something special about it. I might save this one just because it's pretty cool. But so I went on his page and I bought two books. I bought Art of Silence, or Act of Silence, and a book called Unique, and I have not read Unique yet. I do not fully understand his structure. I guess this has a follow-up, and Unique is a series of books itself. I think I'll have to look into it a little more. But this appears to be the first one, and it's a book. I can't, I didn't bother with because they weren't books. And I don't know the order. I would love him to tell me his reading order or anything. But anyways, let's go to the one bad thing, because it is a book and it is published by Amazon. And I have no doubt it's published on the cheap, because you can do that with Amazon. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only problem is there's a lot of typos. I'd say a fair amount of typos. Maybe 24 that I spotted in this book. And they're simple ones. No, dropping an S at the end. I mean, they're not, it's wrong word typos where a simple spell check would not catch it. And that's not a huge issue. That does not make this bad. The only thing bad about it, and I would equate it to a movie called Batteries Not Included. And in that movie, it was a Steven Spielberg movie, and the problem is the boom mic dropped in every now and then. You could see the boom mic, to the point where I started counting it in my head. And I'd see one, there's two, and it was maybe a dozen times. Now, that's not a terrible thing. It was not a great movie. It was kind of low budget, kind of a fun story. And so what if the boom mic pops in? And so what if a word is misspelled? The problem is it brings you out of the moment. And sometimes when you're watching a movie, you forget you're watching a movie. And when you're reading a book and it gets really good, you actually forget you're reading a book. You're just in it. You're experiencing it. And then when you have to stop and think, what was that now he was meaning to say? Oh, them, not they. Okay, now I get it. And that's it. It's minor. It's silly, I guess. But I wish, maybe a few extra dollars for the line editor or something that really looks at it. Other than that, that's my complaint, which I guess is not bad, because the story at first I was like, well, I'm trying to figure out who this gal Abigail is and what she's all about. And throughout the book, and I'm going to guess these are things like I said, the first book I've read of his. Maybe he's bad at dialogue and knows it. Maybe he doesn't enjoy dialogue. I'm hoping those are the cases, because the dialogue's not strong. It's not a dialogue-heavy book. And it's also not a character-developing heavy book. You know who she is. She doesn't grow. She is an agent. And all of that is perfectly good. You don't need every aspect of every type of story in everything you read. You actually need one aspect in each thing you read. When you see a Kevin Smith movie, you're not going to see a lot of character development. You're not going to see a lot of story development. You're going to see a lot of dialogue. Like Clerks, for example. Nothing really happens. You don't learn anything about the people. It's just conversation. And this does not have that. This has story. It's all story driven. And I found myself not caring who Abigail was, not caring about this pseudo relationship she's in. Didn't matter. I wanted to know who's doing this thing. It's a horrific thing that's happening where somehow something is causing people to eat people. and it seems like a terrorist attack, and who's doing it, and it was reminiscent of reading books by Murphy and Safier that I read as a young man. All the Destroyer books. I was a huge fan of those. And I found this book, and I do not consider this lessening it. I consider it raising it. I consider it high praise. I found it a pulp novel. It's fantastic. It's just, I wanted to find out who did it. I want to read more about her, even though I don't care about her. I mean, it's kind of like the Remo Williams character in the Murphy and Safier Destroyer books. I didn't care about. I don't know anything about the guy. I've read 30, 40, 50 books of the Destroyer series, and as far as Remo and his life and what he cared, I don't know. He's good at kung fu. You know, that's kind of it. It's all about the agencies and the story, and you know, why it's happening and how it's happening and can they stop it. And it's just a men's adventure novel is what those were called. They're pulps. It's a whole style of men's adventure. James Bond is actually part of that, although there's a little more cachet to the Bond name. You know, if you think of the Remo Williams or the Executioner books, that's really the men's adventure series. And that's kind of what this almost falls into. It was good. I mean, I'm very pleased that I read it. I think Seth has a lot of talent. I think he knows. I mean, I have to read, but I think he knows his shortcomings, which is a wonderful thing to know. I think he knows his strengths. Because he played to his strengths and he shied away from his shortcomings. I think. Like I said, I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I hope I'm not insulting him with what I say. And I hope he sees this, and if he wants to connect his... I mean, I know his YouTube persona. He knows mine. We are friends on Facebook, but I lost my password during the summer, months ago, and I haven't been on there, so I would have asked him. I really don't talk to the gentleman. He just seems like a nice guy that I really like and wanted to read one of his works and support him, and if it sucked, I probably would either have not made a video or reluctantly came out and said, you know, I hate to say this, the guy's wonderful, but sorry. But this is good. It's well worth a read. It maybe take you about 3 chapters to start catching on to the feel of it. And that's what it did for me, and after that, I couldn't put it down. And I look forward to reading Unique. I think you let me know if I need to buy the other. I'll buy them. Don't give them to me. I'll buy them. Let me know if I need to buy the other uniques, because I know there's Unique Monster, Unique whatever. And I'll read those and review them as well. So go try something you've never tried before today. That's my advice. I don't give advice. I just give ideas. It's my idea. Try something different. If reading a book you've never read sounds, you know, you just grabbing one off the shelf and not knowing what's in it sounds, just go down a different road to work and see what the houses look like. Do something different. Have fun. Enjoy your life. And if you like my channel, subscribe, like it. Tell your friends. If you don't like it, still subscribe. Go ahead and dislike it. That's fine. But subscribe. That's the big part. All right. Thanks, folks. I'll talk to you soon.